Hi guys, just really wanted to say a huge thank you to all of those who have subscribed to the channel so far. I want the channel to take off and I want it to be as good as it can be. So it's only right to kind of thank you guys that have already started to subscribe. I hope you enjoy the content I put out there and kind of learn along the journey with me as I go through this transformation process with the car what I've got and the finished result. Also, I hope to be able to kind of share with you some other projects as well along the way. Maybe something a little bit more kind of interesting, high spec, and just really to kind of show what can be done. We've even out having to have gone to kind of university, college, and all that kind of stuff. There's ways in which you can learn, and I think most of the time you can do something. It's what I've shown. You can do it. You've just got to get over that first hurdle, and once you take that first step to be able to pick up some tools and then go and do the task, you'll find that number one, it's really enjoyable, it's rewarding, and it's also easier on the pocket, but also as well you learn kind of like the processes of like how things are, how long things take. So yeah, just huge thank you guys. So just a quick little update as well, where things are at as regards to what I can do at the moment is it's kind of held up because I'm still waiting on parts. The parts are due kind of like they said around the 18th. I think that's a little bit of an excessive time frame, to be honest with you. Wasn't quite happy with that. Yes, I may have saved a bit of money, but it's taken an awful long time. It doesn't seem. I don't know. Maybe if you think about this in a different way, maybe you can help me kind of like understand it a little better. But it doesn't seem like Germany is not that far away. So the company I've used is in Germany. All the stuff's made over there and comes from their warehouse. Now I ordered it like over a week ago, and it's taken the first week just to get to the kind of couriers. And then I've had a thing on there since like I think Thursday. It's been with the courier. It's been picked up. You speak to the courier. They say, "Oh, it's still with the sender." I'm not quite sure how it works. So I think it kind of works like the reason why they said it's with the sender is because it's still over the other side of the border. I don't know why it's taking so long to get from there to here. I know there's probably a bit of a process from the warehouse side of it, but I'm not quite. I don't really sort of see how it should take that long to go to Germany. Germany's not that far away. It's not. In regards to China or somewhere on the Asian continent, it's not that far. And yeah, it seems that I think 2 weeks, nearly 2 weeks to get from there to here. It's a little bit excessive, so I might have to rethink kind of like where I get parts and that from. I might just say, okay, well, I just bite the bullet, maybe get it a little bit more, pay a little bit more money and be able to kind of push the process up a little bit more. I don't really like doing that. I don't really think everything should cost what we pay for it here. It's like the UK market, everything is so expensive, and yet when you go over to Europe, you kind of find that you're getting things at the more of a price that I actually think it should be. I actually think that represents what the price of the parts actually are. Now, obviously, some parts are expensive, and there is no getting around that. But part of what I've learned as well on this is the fact of like so many different manufacturers use so many other manufacturers' parts and everything else. And you can have a really high spec car, like Lamborghini, Ferrari, or something like that. And then when you start looking into them and you kind of strip it back, you kind of find out where all the parts are. Now, if you go to the manufacturers, if you go to Ferrari or go to Lamborghini and that, you find that they charge a phenomenal amount for these parts. And when you look at the part and you look at the part number and you find out where you can get them from, actually you save yourself so much money. Like it's ridiculous. Like you can go from like £1,000 to £100. Like I mean, where is that? You know, where it's just amazing. It's just really amazing. But you know, for my car, it's as simple as this. I kind of know how things are, how much they cost, and then I do a little price list. So obviously, you know, I've priced it all up here. So basically, that's my kind of, I've put a price list down there where I want to get to this far. Now, I haven't put everything on there. You know, the reupholstering. I've got to have the conversation with the contact that I've kind of found. To be able to go to them and have that conversation and say, this is what I want. Maybe take some advice on kind of how to go about it and what the cost of that is, and then price it up and then work towards that goal. So, you know, for anybody who watches this who's thinking about doing anything, it's like each one of these parts on this list, right? So basically each one of these was a goal. The brakes, that was a goal, because I couldn't do it all in one hit. I didn't just have that much expendable cash just to go, yeah, fine, there's the money for it, we'll just buy everything and all that. So I had to make everything a personal goal, and every time I achieved that goal, I got a great sense of satisfaction and a great sense of kind of like kind of pride in myself that I've gone through that process and stuck to it and been able to kind of reach those goals, and actually thought, yeah, okay, that's achievable. It hadn't really kind of sort of sunk in about the process till I started doing it, and then I was like, you know, yeah, this is great. Now I've done that, that's an achievement. Now I can get the next part. That was achievement, you know, doing the suspension, and that was great. The camshafts, being able to find them, I mean, that was quite tricky to find the right cams for what I needed. And also you've got to like really like kind of look at the parts and part numbers and everything else like that, and try and find it, because sometimes I find that you've got something that says it's the right part but it's not. So you've got to kind of, sometimes it's a little bit like, okay, I found that the price wasn't too bad. Definitely looked at it like, you know, in depth, and then said, right, okay, we'll do it. I'll go with that. So I got the camshafts, and then I took them up to Kent, and they've now reground them into fast road cams. But I don't want to then just put the fast road cams in the car when I go and pick them up. I want to be able to book in the tuning, because if you're going to do the cams, you need to get that tuning done so the ECU knows that you've got all these bits on the car, that it can take the extra power. Now the power gains that I'm getting are not in excess. They're not excessive power gains. They would be well within the engine's capabilities. So, you know, I'm not looking at kind of forging this engine. Number one, there's no turbo, and it's not a turbo powered engine. It's not anything over, it's not going to be anything like kind of like 200 brake plus horsepower. That's not what I'm going for. That's not the aim of this project. The aim of this project is to kind of start it, to learn through it, to kind of get confidence in actually tackling the issues that come up, and also how to get around with doing things to the car, what needs to be done, and the order that needs to be done. So when I did the suspension, obviously that knocked all the tracking out and everything else like that. So one of the things was, as everybody said, do your suspension, do your tracking. So, and I really felt that I booked it in to get it done. So I had the tracking done the day I took the cams up to Newman Cams in Kent, and you know, for about a week I was driving it without the tracking done, and that was just so so weird because like my toe was or my cam was actually inverted, which means that your wheel, instead of being like this, it's like that, and my toe was in, or out. I think my toe was out. So not only would it carry it, but it's trying to pull itself apart, kind of thing. So that really felt weird. And every time you went over a drain or drain or a bottle or anything like that, you felt the car almost wanted to jump to the side. And you're like, oh my word, that is horrible. That was absolutely horrible. So I was like, okay, well, driving it under those conditions, you really have to kind of look after it, and kind of take care. But I knew, okay, I needed to get the tracking done, but it had to be booked in a time when I could afford to do it now. And actually, the guys there really looked after me. The price was, for 60 quid to get the tracking done, I thought that was an amazing price. Seeing as generally anything else that you get done with a car, it doesn't come cheap. So for that, I was like, wow, okay. So yeah, thanks to those guys. I will find out kind of like I can't remember the name, but they're kind of near to on the same estate as AC Tuning. So if you're in Norwich, if you live in the area and you want to take your car somewhere to go get tuned, I'd take AC Tuning. They'll look after you. The price is reasonable. There are a lot of guys as well that do mobile remapping. So if you want it, looking for a remap, and you just want to map the car to unlock the car's potential without even doing any other modifications to it at all, there are people that come out and do that from a standard stock car, which does give it more of it does reach the better potential as where it's at. But as I've done some modifications, and with the cams, everything else, it's going to have to go on a dyno. It's going to have to be hooked up and kind of done there. But that's where I'm going, and I know over by the airport. At some point, I will be able to put all the links and everything else. I'll get all the links and everything else I need to get, and then I'll drop them in to the channel. But yeah, the guys who did the tracking are down there as well, and they did a fantastic job. As soon as I drove the car away, I mean, literally, I drove it all the way to Kent, and after they finished with it, it was such an enjoyable drive. I really loved it. I thought that was really great experience to kind of know how the car ran before, how it drove before, and then after that, how that had improved it. So I was like, right, okay, brilliant. So what does that how does that impact when I finish with my car? I mean, this is my daily drive. It's not like something that I'm just gonna take around the track and everything else like that, and that's what it's going to be used for. Yes, I will want. I do plan to take it on to over to Germany and Nürburgring. I want to drive up there. I want to take it on the channel. I want to go over there. There's a guy I know over there who I'd love for him to kind of take it out and take it to its full potential and just see how it is. It's absolutely. It'd be an absolutely fantastic experience, and I'd look forward to doing that and to video that, and that would be some good content, and just say, okay, well, this is the result of what I've done, and what you can kind of do as well, and hopefully, what I hope is that with the kind of new opportunities up the road. Is that will really open some doors for me to really kind of help people out. Just use your position in life to help others. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to do that. It shouldn't be that hard to do that. I think if you keep that ethos, in your heart, then you will find that there will be so much more reward for you in life. And it's not that you do it for reward, it's just that you get that through seeing other people like thrive and flourish. And there's been people in my life that I really want to say thank you to. And I'm not going to name drop and that, for their privacy, but you know who you are. If you've had an involvement in my life, and you've kind of seen me go through all the process of beating addiction and coming out with just starting the journey of working, and also my faith journey as well. You've had a real big part to play in that, and bottom of my heart, really thank you. I couldn't have got to where I am at this point without your guys' help. So yeah, I just I'm always in your debt, and always available. So no, but coming back to the car, it's still wrapped up at the moment. As you can see, it's out there. It's under its little blanket, keeping warm. The weather said stuff about snow and everything else, and it's a little bit sketchy. And I don't really trust the weather reports that much. They've been all over the place. They've been quite off the mark recently, so I kind of have to judge it by eye. Kind of get a feel like, well, what's it going to do? And like literally, like my housemate across the way from me, he's like, oh, it's going to rain. I was like, no, it's not due to rain, and it rained. I was like, so I've got my own weatherman. so yeah, but I want to keep it's up on its standstill until these parts come and I can get that fixed, because there's no point putting it up, putting it down, putting it up, putting it down. So I've left it as it is. It's when I fix it, it shouldn't take long to fix it. It shouldn't take long to kind of do that job and get it back together, and then I can kind of drive it a little bit. And hopefully, the position that I can get into will help me further the project on. So I've got the beginning of this year is all about just catching up with a lot of the bills and everything else, which I've done all right. My phone bill's a little bit sketchy. Kind of got behind with that. So, I've managed to speak to them and buy myself some time to be able to solve that issue. And I look to kind of do that before I spend any more kind of money on the car. To finish that off, I need to get kind of back ahead with that. So it's going to take maybe a little bit of time. So, I certainly think by the summer, by the summer, I certainly think that like a lot more is going to be done. I've been able to do paint one caliper, run out of paint, can't buy any more. Okay, that's just how it's gone. But those bits to be finished off. But also I've looked at the back drums, so they're not actually that expensive. To get the rear pads, they're not that expensive. So I thought, well, okay, well, I'm going to get those, and I'll get the paint at the same time. And then, like, when I change them, when the drums are all apart, I'll clean them all up, I'll paint them off the car, and then when I put it all back together, it'll be it will flow. It's the right way of doing it. It's the right order of things to do. So what can I do for the time being? I think what I can do is I was looking at sort of buying some cable and everything else for the underglow lighting. So the underglow lighting, I've already got the underglow. I already know how I'm going to install it. I already know where under the car it's going to go. I'm still sort of looking at the best way of ensuring it kind of stays in place, because even though it should have some strong enough tape on it, like the 3M tape, it should be strong enough like to stick underneath. I've got to clean underneath the sort of base of the car where it's going to go. Make sure that's like really clean. before I fix it in place. And I kind of know whereabouts in the engine I'm going to put everything else, and run the cables through. I think there might be some bits that I might need. If there's anyone else that can kind of help me with getting any of these bits, is like, so some of the little sticky pads that you get that you zip tie through, so you can stick them onto the sort of like wings of the car and things like that, and you can kind of zip tie through that to zip tie your cables in place. Those kind of things, you know, they're not expensive in itself, but it just, like, you know, if where can I save money to get the car forward? And you know, so if there's anybody else who's got those kind of bits and pieces, that would be really appreciated. What else is also, then I can then wire that in, so I can make the looms. Instead of buying the cable, I've got just show you this. I'll just show you this. So this is the stuff that I got. Now the cables inside are red, black. So I've got the black. I'm missing the red because I think I used it all on the last loom that I made. Oh, no, I haven't. It's just gone in. Oh, so I have got it. Oh, so I can make it. Oh, that's okay. So I don't need any of that stuff. I just need to pull that. So I just need to pull some of this out. I haven't got a lot of it though, so I might need to get some more, but I don't need. I should. I think that's enough. I think that's enough. I think for what I need to do, I think that'll be enough. That will certainly get. So basically, what I'm going to do. That's actually quite good. I didn't realise I had that. I didn't realise I had this stuff. So what I can do with this is I can now make the loom to go from each end of the lights. That's going to go between the two. So what I need to do is connect it all up. I'm going to solder it all together, and then I'll have one wire, one cable, one loom going through from the engine bay through into the car. That's then going to join the other parts. So let me just put you down there for a sec. Just put you down there. So we're just going to go put that back in through there. Make sure that's the right way. Put that in place. Brilliant. So great. So now I've got somewhere where I can pull that to. So let me show you this. Right. So this is the wire that I'm going to use. It's a lot smaller gauge. So I need to solder these ends. Now this is actually going to be inside the car because this is the controller. Okay. That's how it comes. You've got the RF receiver there. It also works on the sound principle on that. Now, because these are all kind of like, these are all the same. They all go to the same place in the board. For the RGB lights. So what that does, it's like I can put all that together, and that will be one cable inside the car. I've already got the power lead done for here, ready to go onto the switch. So I've made the switches, I've made them up, ready to go into the car. So they're going to go into the center console. I've kind of, I think I know where I'm going to put them. And I have made a little cardboard template. Now, obviously, I'm not going to use a cardboard template to mark where the holes are going to go in. That's just to give me an idea of spacing. And then I'm going to put that onto something else that's a little bit more substantial. And then make the cutouts on that, so that when I come to actually putting the template onto the center console. It's going to be in the right place. It's not going to move, and then I can have the confidence that that's going to be that it's going to fit. I can have the confidence it's all going to fit, and it will look right. So within that as well, then I can fit all the wires behind the center console, connect everything up. Then I'll have the camera, the internal LEDs, and the underglow on 3 switches that I can turn on and off from inside the car. I can control them from inside the car as well. The camera, so the camera's into the 12-volt system. It comes on when you switch the car on, and basically then it comes into operation. And I'm still thinking about, do I just get a wire tap? If I get a wire tap, then it goes into the fuse box, and then I can put it onto the daylight running lights or something like that comes on with the car. Then I can kind of have that hardwired in that way. But then I'm going to get a fuse box that is kind of like runs off the system, which is why I'm putting the switches in. So the fuse box is going to go from the battery into the car, and that's going to be a constant feed. Now, I don't obviously want everything constantly on, so that's why I've put switches in to then be able to turn them on and off. I don't have to have the car running in order to then run those if I was going to an event or something like that. I could kind of show it off a little bit and kind of showcase it, and you know, I could be happy with what I've done. And it will look tidy and it will look smart, and you're not going to see kind of like cables everywhere and wires everywhere, because you know, this way, you know, you make the looms and then you can tidy it all up, and you can find where you're going to run everything, and hide it all up as well, so it's not going to be visible to the eye. Even with this, you can hide this, and all that will be kind of exposed is the antenna, so you can get the remote control onto it. And then that will do all the lighting and everything else, and it looks really good. The next kind of thing that I haven't got yet, which I've looked into, so I had line light inside the car. It would be in one of the videos I've already posted, and you can see it kind of all nice and lit up. But I didn't like that on closer inspection. It wasn't good. It was quite cheap. It wasn't. Yeah. When you were close enough to it, I could see the imperfections in the lighting. So I took it out. I got rid of it. But I looked at kind of like the ambient lighting kits that you can get. They're not that expensive as a kit goes. You know, I think shy of about maybe 50 quid. Yeah, between 30 and 50. I think that's kind of the ballpark figure where I'm looking at. So I know what I want to buy, and I've also known now how I can install it in my car. So even though the installations weren't done in the model that my car is, it was what I was looking for. Was the main thing is in the doors you've got the power for the windows, which run off the 12-volt system, so you can tap into those and you can run the lights through that. So you've got to take the door cards off in order to then put the lights through and all that kind of stuff. But you had power there, so my issue wasn't about taking the door cards off and how I'm going to run the lights. That wasn't the issue. The issue was, where do I get the power from, especially on the back, because I don't really want to see the wires, and you know, I think on closer inspection, what I'll look for is how I run them through the door to get through into the main power, because there is no electric windows on the back, so it's manual windows. So to do that, you know, you got to look at where you're going to run everything first. So I've watched a couple of videos, and I've seen kind of like how that is done. Same car, just a different model. I think they were on a EVXR or something like that. So they had a 5-door, which is the same issue with the back. So I know how they were able to run that through and then connect to the front. So within all of that, it's it's kind of like educating myself to be able to then go and do that the right way. Now I've got the confidence of how I'm going to do that, where I'm going to put the lights through, and that will give me the ambient lighting, and it will be a tidier way as well. It will tidy it up on the front, and yeah, I feel like the kit itself would be a worthwhile kit to buy. The installation process shouldn't take that long, um, and it will just really it will really give the inside a nice feel. So even though I've got the lights in the footwell and underneath the back seats, it'll just bring something extra to the doors and to the front console. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that part. I think the most expensive things are going to be so one is the reupholstery. That's not going to be that cheap, but what I've got to do is, because I'm having the seats redone, is I've got to take all the seats out, all the seat in the back seat, everything else, take it to the reupholsterers, and then they're going to do what they do, and reupholster the seats with the materials that I choose and the right kind of stitching. The second thing, so while I do that, I've got to find another seat from anywhere else that's going to fit in the car. I don't care where it comes from. Or I'll go to a breaker's yard or something, just rip something out of one car and just stick it in mine. Just drive around in, so there won't be kind of any room for any passengers or anything else for that time. But the next thing as well from that, when I get the seats back installed, all that is I'm looking at seat belts and kind of like changing the colour of the seat belt and everything else to tie that in. Because one thing is, the one thing you see a lot of people do is they spend a lot of time on the outside of the car, how that looks, the paint jobs, the wraps, the body kits, but they never really do that much with the inside. So I think that's where it's going to be. It's like the outside, when I have that done, it's going to look something spectacular. But then also I want that to carry through on the inside, and I want it to be comfortable. I want it to look comfortable, and look something good that can be kind of easy enough to clean and maintain. But also, something that you look at and you think, yeah, I want to look after this, and eventually, it won't be like my workhorse. Eventually, I'll probably have a van, which I would like to do a customized van, because that'd be a great job to kind of do, and also I think it'd be fit for the purposes that I want to use it, because there's a lot of times you get asked to do things that you just think, yeah, if I put it in the car, it's going to scratch it all up, it's going to mess it all up, and I don't like doing that. Start to spend money on it, and it start to really sort of grate me, thinking, yeah. But once I kind of move along a bit and I get myself a more of a utility vehicle, then that's going to be able to kind of take that off. So when I finish the interior, I don't want anything kind of like that's going to make a mess in there. No food and nothing. I don't want that. But I have a decent sound system. Upgrading the sound system in there. A couple of 10-inch subs. Got the wiring, the amp, the subs, the new head unit. Probably upgrade the door speakers to something slightly better that can take a little bit more. Not so you can just be like a really loud, like booming kind of noise machine, but so like you get a decent enough blend. So what happens is when you get a car straight out the factory, everything goes through your door speakers, and then you get your infotainment systems that you can kind of mess about with, like the levels, and kind of get the sound that you want. But on a nice day, got the windows down, you got good tune on that you like to kind of turn up, and you turn it up, and the speakers don't last. They fade very quickly, and then all of a sudden, you get to kind of like 20 decibels, and then all of a sudden it's distorted. You can't get to the 40 decibels because it can't handle it. It'll blow the speakers out. And that's kind of, that's a very basic thing. It's a common thing to do. So um, I want to change that. I want to upgrade that. It's not going to be cheap. It's actually it's more expensive than cams. It's more expensive than the tune. To be honest, like, I don't know what the upholstery is going to cost me, or the interior is going to cost me, um, but it probably won't come to as much as what I've been quoted for that. So I'm looking at how I can do that and cut some of the costs down. But I'd be glad to make a video for that, because that's a real. How do you then go and install that it works for the car, and what else do I have to do with not having the whole car just rattle away? So what do I need to do to prevent that? Because a lot of people, they put a big sound system in and they turn it up and they're like, yeah, but then all you hear is when you're inside, is the car buzz, the buzz of the car itself, as it's like everything's vibrating against everything else and it's all rattling. And there's ways around that. There's ways of putting in some kind of barriers, protection, so you kind of get sound dampeners in the car, so you hit a nice crisp sound, but you then don't get the whole car vibrating and rattling. And that's kind of like what I'd be going for, a professional install, not just a bodge job, chuck it in and, hey, look, we're loud. I want it to be clean. If you're going to do reupholstering and everything else, you want everything else to be clean. So that's kind of where it is. And once I kind of got that part, that's near enough finished the car. All that's left is to take it to the body shop. There's one panel where I've got a little dent in it. I tried to fix it myself, just push it out a little bit. It just didn't go well enough. I'm just going to make it worse. So I've got to get that done. I don't know how much that's going to cost. It's one panel, but then the thing is, with a panel, it's not just the one panel. You've got to blend that in with the rest of the car. You have to blend that one panel with the rest of the car, and it can be a lot of work. It doesn't have to be a lot of work, depending on what you want. But obviously, there's a cost to that. Now, I want the whole car polished up, looking like new. Had it just over a year now. So obviously it picks up a few like scratches and chips and stuff like that in the paintwork. So I want that to be brought back to as if it was like new out the factory. And then, like, once I've had that taken care of, then I can finish with the part wrap that I want to do, which then has I have a company in mind for that. So I've got to have that conversation at that time. So that shouldn't be too much. Shouldn't cost me too much to get that done. And just looking at like kind of what I want to do, what I want to achieve, how it's going to roll out with the car, and I don't want to change the color of the car, so it's not a full wrap, but I do want to just personalize it a little bit more on the outside. So that's my kind of aims. And I'm not that far off. I'm not actually that far off there. So, once we got to getting the external lights installed, I'll buy the ambient lights. That's not a huge thing to achieve. It just about, I've got to take all the door cards off, look at the installation, install the lights themselves. Then where I'm going to make any additional holes and put the wires through and everything else. Also, if I'm going to make holes, how do I make that tidy? Whether you like finishing off with maybe a rubber bung or something like that, or just if you kind of make a hole in a place where it's not really going to be noticed. It's going to be hidden, that you can still run something through, but you can run it kind of through anything that's like upholstered or anything like that on the doors. So yeah, there are ways of doing it. Just getting your head around before you drill it, where you're going to drill it, where's that going to come through, and then what the idea is when you do ambient lighting is you don't really want to see kind of any um, of the installation. You don't want to see the installation. You want to see the light. Um, and that's it. Obviously, there's a light there, so you're going to see that. But you don't want to see where the cables are going to go through, how they're all running in. The idea is it's all nice and tidy, and you don't really see any of that part. So you can hide kind of things up and just how you then get that installation going and make it look nice. And if there is anything that you can see, is then how do you tidy that up? So you either use bungs, little rubber grommets or something like that you can blend into the door and then push the cables through that. So then your eyes aren't drawn to that part. You don't want your eyes kind of drawn to those areas. So that's going to be interesting. And I think that'll look good when it comes out. I did find for the wing mirrors as well. So Vauxhall actually do the wing mirror covers in a carbon effect already, so I don't have to then go and send them off to get hydrogen. That's what I was going to do, but I think actually I can just buy those covers, swap them out. That's not too expensive. I'll do that as part of the body kit install. So I want the body kit to be mainly carbon. The only thing I don't want the carbon, I want to keep gloss black, is the spoiler cap. When I put the spoiler on and I put the spoiler cap, that will finish that off nicely. So then you've got the carbon spoiler, and then the spoiler cap that goes on. It will be gloss black, so that'll match in with the roof as the roof's gloss black. So, but I want the roof to be completely nutty, spotless, so polished up, and anything kind of needs to be done to it to bring it back to life. Have that done. And I might also, as well, when I have the sound system then put in, is so the aerial I put on, it's not the greatest. It looks all right, don't get me wrong, it does look all right, but I think for performance wise, it's not the greatest, and I might need to do something about that. And I think I'll speak to the audio guys about that part. So if I'm going to spend the money on the audio system, then I might as well make sure everything else is spot on. And if that means I've got to change that aerial to another shark fin aerial or another type of installation there, then I'll do that. That will finish it off nicely. And then ultimately I'll have a car that will look good, it will sound good, and it will drive absolutely great. At some point I might upgrade on the tyres, but the tyres I've got now, they will do for what I want. And then there's another company as well, which I've got a friend that works out there. I'm going to have him kind of refurb the wheels, just because they've been curbed and all of that. So I want them to kind of repair them and to bring them back to the factory finish. So within that, I could change the wheels as well at some point. Maybe I will. I will change them. Probably maybe after I've done everything I want to do with it and driven it a while, maybe a year or so down the line, I might just invest in some nicer wheels and have them put on. But wheels aren't cheap. You're talking up to sort of in a route between maybe 400 per wheel, anything up to kind of 800,000, depending on what you have. Now, obviously, to keep that in tune with the car, I want something that will look good and that will go with the car. So I'll look at that at that time. There's plenty of options, there's plenty of choices there. But yeah, they're definitely worth to kind of keep a watch on that, and see where kind of that goes with this. But by that point I might even be doing another project as well, so hopefully I will have something else to work on and kind of even if I can find a decent enough van that I can work on and just make it a little bit something different. Yeah, definitely. I can kind of see that happening. That's already in the process. So keep a watch out for that. What I'll do next is give you guys a little bit of a more in-depth tour around the car inside, kind of it just gives you that sense of like what I've done already with the lighting already, of going from LEDs to going from the factory to LEDs, and changing the inside, and what that looks like. Also, I've got to replace the back cluster, the back tail light. Had a little bit of an accident, so I need to get a new one of those at 50 quid. It's not a bad price. The retailers want like 100 and something odd pound. I'm like, no, let's just get one that will fit. What I did learn is, as regards to tail lights, they're not all the same. So you need to look at a 3-door and a 5-door, and you need to look at all that kind of stuff, because there is a variant in the size of the light. So if you've got a 5-door car, you can't just go and get one because it looks like it will fit and it looks the right shape. It won't be the right size. So you have to then definitely make sure you get one for a 5-door to match a 5-door, or 3-door to match a 3-door. It's something that I did confirm, and so I've had to be a bit picky. So hopefully, what I've seen, it will still be available when I can afford to buy them, to get that back. Car's got MOTs and that due. Got to sort out all the insurance again, everything else, all that's due. So there are things that's going to kind of take preference at the moment, but once it's not unreachable. Well, once I kind of got back to level again, and it will just take off, and then before you know it, the bits that need to be finished off will be finished off, and then I can sort of finish those stages off. So paint the calipers, probably do that, finish that off. That'll be one job to be finished off. With the front calipers, do the rear drums as well, get the paint for that, get that kind of done, at the same time buy the brakes. So then that's not an expensive job to do, all in itself. So I can kind of get all those parts in, concentrate on those little bits, while I'm all the time working towards kind of the next kind of major bits. I'll try and keep it as interesting as I can. I will kind of do the process of like all the wiring bits and everything else. I'll show you all of that kind of stuff as well, so you can kind of see how, if you wanted to do this to your car, how you can do it. It's a lot of fun. In all respects, you don't need to do anything. You can go buy a car at the factory, drive from the factory, probably be fine for years and years and years and years, never a problem, never an issue. Apart from the general maintenance side of it, there are cars that are worse than other cars, generally just because of how cheap the parts are, or how quickly they wear, and all of that. Also, a lot of driver input, how you drive those cars as well, will obviously speed up the wear and tear on them. So you've got to kind of know all the limitations of where the cars are at, and also be prepared to kind of put your hand in your pocket to kind of solve the issues as well as they come along. If you want to save money, do a lot of stuff yourself. If you feel like you're just overwhelming and it's something way beyond you, take it to somebody who can do it. Go to your local garage and get, just buy the bullet, or sell the car for parts and buy a new car if it's something that's like beyond you. If you feel like that's the way you got it, there's nothing wrong with that, do that. That car can be probably put back on the market and resold, and it'll give somebody else a benefit of enjoyment. Nothing that you do to a car, generally when you're modifying it, doesn't need to be done, not really. But it's, as far as enjoyment, I mean, there's always improvements you can make. So you can improve from factory spec to a higher spec. Yes, there is an impact on your insurance, doesn't make an impact to your taxes and stuff, not unless you're going to build a race car, which obviously has more emissions. But you can't drive a race car on the road anyway. You can say that if it's made to be driven on the road, if it's like street car spec, yes, you can. But then if you go and you change it that it's going to be just modified for the track, then go and get a trailer and take it to the track, keep it undercover, you know. But here's the thing: there are some really nice cars, high power. What I've seen is you get a lot of nice cars, high power, and they break a lot, and they're expensive. And if you don't know what you're doing with them, it'll cost you a lot of money to get them put right. And even things that do break, and if I can understand if something breaks, I can say, well, that broke. Why did that break? Okay, well, if we're going to spend the money, let's spend more money and let's make it better. I understand that. And hopefully, like, it won't break as much. But if you're going to push a car, and the car's made to be driven, made to be driven hard, you know, you've got to be able to drive the car. So I don't ever think that you should just, if you have no experience and you have no kind of idea of how you drive, you know, you shouldn't just go and jump straight up to power. You shouldn't just go jump straight to power. Number one, you're just looking for you are looking for trouble, and number two, you are looking for serious injury or injury to others, and that because you haven't learned how to kind of handle that much power or the car's capabilities in certain conditions, certain situations. So, you know, I always advocate that, you know, you should have a little bit of driving experience behind you before you then start going up a level and start ramping up power and how you handle the power. And the only reason I want to do my car, yes, I do want more power, but I want more drivability out of it. I don't want the lag. I want to know that if in certain situations you get into, it's like been close calls because other people have kind of made certain decisions, which has then kind of put you in a, or certainly put me in a kind of a bit of a tight spot where I've then had to kind of think quickly enough to be able to get out of it. And I kind of felt like if I had a little bit more power, that I could have had the margin wouldn't have been so close. The margin would have been a wider gap between having an accident and avoiding one. So it's not necessarily about putting your foot down all the time, just going top power every go. One, it will just wear the engine out, or just then you start blowing pistons, everything else like that. It's not good. But also, you know, it's not good economy wise, fuel wise, or anything like that. So you kind of got to have the balance of, yes, I've got the power, I know how to use the power, I know when to use the power. And yeah, there are probably times where you're going to sort of use that power probably a bit more than you should. I know we all do it. We're not infallible. Whereas you might, sometimes you get a bit over zealous with putting your foot down. That's the best way I can put it. But we all advocate for keeping to the speed limits, absolutely, and not being idiotic. So, yes, keep it real. So yeah, I'm gonna, that's where I'm gonna leave this video. I'm gonna get on. I'm gonna do some bits. I'm gonna make this loom. So all these bits, all that's gonna happen is when you make a loom, if you take the right wires that you want. So I've got red, green, black, and white. So I'm gonna take these wires. I'm gonna put these together like so. I'll put one end to the drill. And when I've got the right length, I'm going to put the other end to like tie it onto the cupboard or something hard, spin them together, twist them up. You don't want it too hard. You don't want to go too hard with it. You want it just enough so that it keeps it together. And then when it's like that, I'll then wrap it. So it will look like this. It will look like that, and then I can then use that to attach both the lights, rejoin them back together, and then make another loom, an extra loom, to go through into the through the engine bay and into the car itself, ready to be joined up to this part. So I can then kind of put this in the right kind of place where I can get to it with remote control. It's got to be accessible, and it's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be accessible. Don't want it, too obvious, but I want it accessible enough that I can just change the effects and everything else. that will look it'll look smart, it'll look nice. But also as well, if I'm going to do this stuff, I know that these lights aren't going to last forever. They're not going to perform for forever and ever and ever. You get a good few thousand hours of lighting and that with them. You don't run them all the time, so it's going to last. It's going to last. But if they do fail, if for instance they do fail and they do fail kind of like before they're meant to or whatever like that, it's easier. It's easy enough to then swap them out. It's easy enough to then kind of say, okay, they've had it, go and replace them. I won't need to replace all of these parts unless the box fails. So when you get them, you obviously get a complete kit. But I can just do the lights and then run them back where I was running them before. All the pads should still be in place. So you have the places where you're going to zip time everything else like that. So all of that, it'd just be easy enough to change them out. And that's what you want to do. So we will make it accessible, and you want to make it like so. You can uninstall the whole thing if you really wanted to, without it being too much of an effort to kind of like disconnect everything. So there is you want to keep it that way so it's efficient and it's sensible, makes sense. If you just hardwire everything in to a point where it's going to be a lot of work to undo it, you kind of make it a lot more work for somebody else. It will devalue everything that you're trying to do. So on one hand, yeah, you get that, but if you needed to change anything, it would be a headache. And people aren't stupid, and they can see that, and they'll know. Oh, well, okay, that's been on there for a while. It's been on there for so many years. It's probably not got that much life left in it. I'll probably have to change that. That's a lot of work to try and take that off and all that kind of stuff. So, you want things to be like this, as plug and play as possible. Even with putting the switches in, you got to get the right kind of configuration for the switches to be able to know that I can just go in it, I can unplug it all, and I can get blanking plates for any holes or anything else that you put in. So yes, blanking plates, it will tidy up. Yes, you'll know that they're there, but it will tidy up, and you're getting ones that are suitable for the car. They're not just gonna be like so in your face, and hopefully they shouldn't be annoying. So if you did take any installation out, you can buy the planking plates, plug the hole, and leave it as that. But also in the future, if anybody else wanted to do something, they can then take that out and they can do a new installation. Similar thing. So with everything that gets done, there'll be a process of this is how you start, this is where it finishes off, and I can then put that out there that you then really want to you really want to then be able to then if you sell the car or you let somebody else take it on, give them as much kind of information to go with it for what you installed and how you kind of did it. They might have a different idea. They might just want it as stock as possible, but you can kind of show them how to sort of put in an installation if they should choose to do it. So you let all that go with the car, then it helps them out. So sometimes people refuse and say, no, I want to figure it out myself. And that's great. I think if you do that, you're onto a good path. Figuring stuff out yourself, it really helps you kind of sharpen your knowledge base and everything else like that. Although if I didn't have other people to show me, like whether it's watching their YouTube videos or their instructional videos, if I didn't have that, would I be able to figure it out? Yes, I think I could. I could figure some bits out. Figure this wiring out. It's something that I've come up with. I've kind of watched a couple of videos on it and kind of some of the installation processes. But I'm still going to take kind of what I've learned and do it my way. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, definitely, having a way to think about it, but it gives you the basis to say, okay, well, that's kind of what I'm looking at. That's the task that I need to undertake, and having then the confidence to then have the having the confidence to then go ahead and do it. And that's what a lot of it is. It's just giving yourself enough confidence to say, yes, that's within my means. I can do that. So yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy this. Hopefully I've explained things enough, and then in future time, hopefully when it's ordered, hopefully it gets delivered sooner than what they said, and then I can crack on, get that fixed, get it repaired. Once I fix that repair, I can kind of get it back on the road, and then I can be able to kind of carry on earning and push the project ahead. And then once I've done that, this will be a lot. This will be nice. My aim for this year is to have this finished. I want to have this finished by the summer. That's my aim, is to finish it by the summer. That's kind of my time frame. So already we're halfway, near enough halfway into January. So you've got this month, February, March, April, May, June. So a few months to kind of get things done and get things organised. But I believe it will be good. I believe it will be good, and I believe that I can be able to show you the process, and hopefully I can make enough good content. There's some people I want to speak to about editing, because I don't know enough about editing, and I don't think you have to know everything in order to make decent enough content for YouTube and things like that. I think there are people that will kind of take on the editing side, and as long as they've got enough content to work with, they can bring something even better. So hopefully it will work, and hopefully my vision of being able to get enough subscribers and everything else of the channel to undertake this process will be good, and be able to then start pushing things forward. And I think once things do take off, I think then there'll be so much more content. And also, if you are interested, I'm going to put it out there. If you are interested in kind of doing any of these kind of works, maybe to your car, or even if you wanted to kind of get involved into what I'm doing on my car, and you just wanted to start off with that, if you have an interest, let me know in the comments. If you let me know in the comments, I will get back to you, and we can work stuff out. At least then, I think it will be great. It'll be great to have project cars. I think as I can get a nice team together to be able to do a car that it will look absolutely insane, and you can have the enjoyment of then enjoying that. I don't think I will have many cars in a collection. I've seen some people's car collections. But anything's possible. But I think if we're going to do it, I think actually you do the car, you help somebody in the process of doing this car up, so you're giving somebody that experience. But then also as well is you then let the car go to somebody else that's really going to bless them. And you want something that even if once the car's theirs, they will then be able to keep the car. If they can't afford to insure it or whatever, if it's too expensive, they can sell the car. They can get a nice profit from that, which hopefully will help them out financially as well. So, sometimes the people that have deeper pockets can buy the cars from them, that can afford to keep them and insure them. So somebody is always going to enjoy the things that you do. And that's why I never want to cut corners, and I want everything done to a high spec, because if you're going to do it and do it wholeheartedly. Don't do a half-hard bodge job that you see, and some people do cut corners, and then there's issues with safety and everything else like that. So no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go down that road. Just don't see the point in that. And if anything that leaves you, it's got to be done. It's got to be approved. So On the, on this journey as well, I will be certified to do like all the maintenance and everything else like that. So that's something that, yes, I can do stuff uncertified. I can do stuff. I know how to use tools. I know how to work things out. I know how to research. I know how to then put that into practice, and kind of see things as I want them to be, and do it and try and do it in the most efficient and tidiest way possible. Because number one, doing your own car, you want to do it to a high spec because it's yours. It's something you're going to be driving around in. It's something that you're going to be seen in. You don't just want a wreck. If you're only going to have a car that you're just going to basically strip everything out, take the seats out, everything else, and just do drag strips and everything else, drag strip racing and all that, it doesn't have to look anything good. It's just got to be functional, which is getting from A to B as quickly as possible. Probably won't be road legal, but that's fine if that's what you want to do. It's not going to look pretty, but if it's something you're going to be driving around in and you're going to be somebody around in all the time, it's got to look good. And that's where that's kind of where we're going with this. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. I hope I've explained enough. I know it's a long video. I might even cut this down into 2 videos, but hopefully it gives you an idea of. Hopefully it gives you an idea of kind of like where I'm going, where I want to go, what I want to achieve, and I think I will achieve it. And also, the opening for anybody who wants to come on this journey with me. Hopefully, if you follow my channel, you can come on this journey with me that way. But also, as well, if you want to get more involved, you can. I'm leaving that door open. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna crack on. I'm gonna get these bits done. And I might do show you a couple of bits afterwards. All right, yeah, thanks.